Welcome to Value Gene Insight Conversations.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into something that's often overlooked in food manufacturing and distribution. It's people management.
Right.
And our experience shows that the biggest swings, the really significant gains in stability, in output, in quality, they rarely come from just buying new equipment. They come from rethinking how we staff, how we train, and how we lead.
That's where all the hidden capacity is.
Ah.
So our mission today really is to unpack 7 widely held, but I think incredibly costly misconceptions. These are the things that quietly limit your capability and create, well, a lot of instability in the plant environment.
We want to identify where that capability is hiding in plain sight.
Exactly. Because the quickest route to better margins isn't always CapEx, it's often strategic OpEx focused on your people.
And we should probably start with the most entrenched myth, the one that, feels right when the pressure's on.
We hear it constantly, the idea that running lean means running tight, that one extra person on the line is just waste. It's the first lever everyone pulls.
It's the very definition of a false economy. When you trim headcount, you're not actually making the process leaner.
Yeah.
You're just removing the human buffer, the very thing that was guaranteeing stability. And, more critically, you shift the bottleneck.
From the machine to the person?
Exactly. When you're fully staffed, your bottleneck is usually a piece of equipment, which is predictable, a filler, a cooker. When you run tight, that bottleneck immediately becomes a person, and people are unpredictable.
So what's the commercial hit from that shift? Someone gets sick, the person left behind is rushing, the line stops. It's so hard to see that cost on a payroll line item.
But the quantification is staggering. We consistently see that restoring staffing, and we're not talking about a lot.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, modest 5 to 10% increase at those key constrained stations, those pinch points. That can unlock anywhere from 15 to, I've seen, 45% more sellable output.
From the same assets.
From the exact same assets. The cost per unit drops, even if payroll goes up slightly, because you eliminate that huge tax of lost capacity and rework. You're paying for stability.
Okay, but if I'm a CFO, how do I go to the board and sell a 5% payroll increase, even if it might unlock 20% more capacity?
You sell the reduction in risk, because reduced staffing amplifies risk dramatically in our sector. It's not just about speed.
It's safety.
It's safety. And for us, it's quality integrity. Heavy lifts, rush cycles, those lead to injuries. That's a direct cost. But the more insidious danger is in quality control. When staff are overwhelmed, the food safety checks get squeezed.
Tests get rushed.
Tests get rushed, documentation gets filled in later, from memory.
Which is a massive liability.
A huge, unquantifiable liability. We saw this play out perfectly at a plant that tightened up their packaging and lab staffing at the same time, saved 3 headcount.
And for a while, it probably looked like it was working.
It did, because one exceptionally strong operator was masking the flaw. But that person can't be there every single day.
So what happened when they took a vacation?
Chaos. Cases immediately backed up. And that quality slip we just talked about. A batch that should have failed its microtest made it onto the truck. The result wasn't just lost time. It was 20 pallets that had to be stripped and repacked.
All because of a decision to save a few dollars on payroll, which created zero buffer in the system.
Right. So the takeaway is that performance improves when you stop equating lean with the lowest possible headcount and start staffing to the actual risk. You invest in a small, cross-trained, flexible core.
And when a process is designed to be that tight, it has to show up in your turnover numbers.
It inevitably does, and too many leaders just accept it. They see 30–40% turnover and say, well, that's just part of the industry.
Which is a really costly mistake to make.
It's a huge mistake. High turnover isn't a given. It's a symptom. It's a sign of deeper structural imbalances that are just bleeding experience out of the facility.
And the common wisdom is that people just leave for 50 cents more an hour somewhere else.
And that overlooks the real drivers. It's rarely just about the pay. More often, it's things like unstable schedules that make planning your life impossible. It's unclear responsibilities or, and this is a big one, a total lack of any visible path for progression.
We saw this at that bakery plant, right? The one with 45% turnover. Management just blamed the workforce.
They did. But the problem was entirely self-inflicted structural chaos. The core issue was that schedules were released on a Thursday for the following week.
You can't plan childcare, appointments, anything.
You can't build a stable life.
Yeah.
So we came in and implemented 4-week published schedules. We did workload audits to make sure things were fair. And the results were really powerful. Turnover fell from 45% down to 22% in 9 months.
And I remember the operational benefit was immediate. Error-related waste dropped by 25%. Just having that stabilized experience in the building reduces all that operational friction.
Which leads right into the next structural problem. This idea that pay should be based on seniority.
It feels simple, it feels fair to management, but we know it creates this inverted talent matrix. It's structurally dangerous.
It completely collapses the incentive to get better. You have a highly skilled operator running a complex filler doing sensitive cook checks who is paid less than a veteran who's just been there for 20 years loading a hopper.
The more technical, more accountable work is systemically undervalued.
Right. So why would you spend 6 months getting certified on a complex machine if the pay bump is tiny compared to just staying put? It stalls all cross-training. It just destroys your skill depth.
And then that veteran retires and all that knowledge just walks right out the door.
And you're left scrambling, paying for expensive agency labor, and doing emergency training just to keep the lines running. The cost of that lost knowledge is just never factored into that seniority model.
So the answer isn't just paying more, it's paying smarter. It's implementing skill-based pay bands.
Exactly. Tied directly to capability, certifications, accountability, not just time in the chair.
And the return on that is huge.
It's one of the highest returns we track. When we shift to skill-based bands, we see the average number of qualified backups per critical machine go from, say, 1, maybe 1.5, up to 3 or 4 in under a year.
Wow.
And voluntary turnover among your most valuable top operators, that drops 25 to 40%. Your agency spend plummets. It creates a self-reinforcing culture of development.
So if you start paying for skills, you immediately hit the next problem, which is knowing who actually has those skills.
Which is misconception 4. We don't need a skills matrix. Our supervisors know their people.
The mental matrix trap.
It's a massive vulnerability. It works great until that one key person calls out sick or moves on. And it gives executive leadership no clear picture of where the real fragility in the operation is.
And the result is what we always see. The high performers accumulate all the skills and all the work, the weaker operators just stagnate, and the shifts become completely unbalanced.
Exactly. The day shift can handle a complex breakdown, but the night shift has to shut the line down.
We saw that at the confectionery plant, a 4-hour shutdown.
4-hour shutdown. That's a 5-figure loss in output and scrap, all because only one veteran operator knew the oven recalibration sequence. The whole team was just standing there watching.
And the investigation showed that, 70% of the advanced skills were all concentrated on one shift.
All on the day shift. Simply because it was easier to train during the day. Half the team had no defined growth path at all.
So the fix is building a formal visual skills board.
And it's not just an HR tool. It has to be an operations management tool on the floor, mapping every critical competency, making capability visible and intentional.
And the results from that plant were pretty stark.
They were. Line stops from skill gaps dropped 70% in 3 months. Yeah. Emergency overtime fell by half. Just the visibility alone forces you to be intentional about building resilience.
Okay, so even if we get the staffing right, we get the pay right, we build the skills matrix, it can all fall apart if the frontline leadership is ineffective.
Absolutely. Which brings us to a huge issue we see everywhere.
Misconception 5. A supervisor is basically an admin role.
We promote the best operator. They know the equipment inside and out. But we give them zero training in how to coach, how to manage conflict, how to actually develop talent.
And then we bury them. We bury them in paperwork, attendance sheets, quality logs, all this manual admin that should be automated.
It's hours of their day. Hours they are spending off the floor instead of on the floor, coaching and solving problems. A supervisor should own the line end to end, but we've turned them into high-paid clerks.
So what's the redesign?
It's twofold. First, you have to be aggressive about eliminating that admin burden. A simple tablet can wipe out hours of paperwork. And second, we have to create 2 separate advancement tracks. One for the technical specialist, the person who loves machines, and another for the people leader, the one who is developed on purpose for that role.
Because when supervisors are stuck doing admin instead of leading, that's when a negative culture starts to creep in.
It seeps in immediately,
Yeah.
which is misconception 6. Culture is HR's job. Operations just needs to run the line.
That's a dangerous mindset.
It's an enormously costly mindset. The most high-stakes example we often reference is that 2020 outbreak at the major meat processor. That crisis was made so much worse by a floor culture that pushed people to ignore safety, to skip breaks, all for the sake of output.
And the cost was astronomical. I mean, hundreds of millions in fines and settlements, not to mention the operational shutdown. The culture became a nine-figure business risk.
And you see that erosion in smaller ways every day that kill productivity. Blame replaces problem solving. Silos harden. Cynicism just grows when operators see management pushing out borderline product.
And that leads to disengagement, quiet quitting.
The discretionary effort just vanishes. The only way to fix that is to change the daily behavior of your frontline leadership. We coach them on how they run meetings, how they give feedback, but we also have to be clear leaders who blame or hide issues need to be moved out. Accountability has to be demonstrated.
So if we free up our supervisors from admin and get them focused on leadership, they need the right tools, which gets us to the last misconception.
Right. Number 7, we tried one of those scheduling apps. It was too much work. We're fine with paper.
The resistance to technology.
And that resistance almost always comes from a bad first experience. A tool designed for the office, not with the floor team. But the reality is, manual, paper-based systems are just amplifying every single staffing problem.
All that time spent chasing people down, trying to fill an empty spot on the next shift, it's pure waste.
It is. And digital tools, even low-cost cloud apps, remove that daily drag. They automate scheduling. They provide a shared, real-time view of who is skilled to do what.
The digital skills matrix.
Exactly. And maybe most importantly, implementing a tool forces the team to clarify all those unwritten rules and decision paths. It forces clarity where there was once chaos.
It's not really about the technology, it's about the operational discipline that technology enables.
Precisely. We saw this at a snack facility where absenteeism was crippling them. We piloted a simple mobile tool, but we made sure the supervisors were involved in shaping how it worked.
And the result.
Absenteeism dropped by 50% in one quarter. And that nightly toxic scramble of emergency phone calls to find coverage, it just faded away.
So bringing this all together, our deep dive into these 7 misconceptions really reveals a crucial truth.
It does. It shows that manufacturing stability and capacity are often capped not by the physical assets, but by management beliefs, by these inherited practices. When you fix the structural imbalances in staffing and skills and leadership, you can get significant gains on your existing assets.
We've seen that when pay is disconnected from skill, when leadership is buried in admin and capacity just falls short, the biggest opportunity is aligning the work that has to be done with the resources, the systems, and the leadership to do it right.
So we'll leave you with this question. If your current stability depends heavily on the heroics of just a few key operators, what is the calculated financial risk of the next unexpected absence from that small, heroic team?
Thank you for listening to Value Gene Insight Conversations. To deep dive, please see the show notes. For more on food industry topics, visit valuegeneconsulting.com or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If today's discussion resonated with you, please do not hesitate to reach out to us to continue this dialogue.